The Leader of the Liberal Party.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Premier as Treasurer. Treasurer, I remind you of the $600 million relief on electricity charges that you provided over the summer of 2021, along with a freeze on government charges, and ask, was the Premier aware in framing this budget that Perth's inflation has hit a massive 7.6% in the March quarter, highest in many years, and significantly higher than the 1% inflation in March quarter of 2021? And if the Treasurer was aware of the surge of inflation, why did your budget provide hundreds of millions of dollars less in financial relief to householders than you provided in 2021 without the relief of freezing government charges?
Order, please. The Premier.
Madam Speaker, can I thank the Leader of the Liberal Party for the question. It is true, as the Minister for Transport said, you were a critic of the $600 credit we provided to people in October 2020, not 2021. When you say it lacked targeting, it gave everyone some cost of living relief, every family in Western Australia, including, as I said, all those hard-working working class and middle class families who never receive anything. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. I'll take you back to the period. It was a very frightening period, very concerning period, and there was a lot of concern about what was going to happen or what could happen. The Attorney-General secured the Bell payment, finalised that after 30 years of effort, or $620 million or thereabouts, and we said we'll give it back to people at this point in time, which is a very dim and dark time. Back in May of that year, May I think it was, 2020, we made the decision to freeze water and electricity in light of what was going on with COVID at that point in time. So those two things happened during the course of that calendar year. And they'll big issues to help people with cost of living relief across Western Australia. Now your criticism seems to be that the inflation rate, as you said, in I think it's the March quarter, I think you quoted as 7%, somehow we're not doing enough. So by giving people $400 and underlying that a 2.5% increase in electricity and water, somehow we're not doing enough, even though you're claiming the inflation rate is 7%. So the other day, your Shadow Treasurer demanded that water and power shouldn't go up by more than the inflation rate. So we put them up by less than the inflation rate, and we gave people a $400 credit. Yet now your criticism is that the inflation rate is 7%. And so therefore, what are you suggesting? That we should have put it up more, so it was closer to 7%? Is that what you're suggesting? I don't understand the logic of your argument. The reality is, you take the inflation rate should be considered over the course of a year. It should be it's a year. It's a snapshot of a year. The inflation rate, and that's the way Treasuries analyse these things from financial year to financial year, both here and the states around Australia. Our inflation rate estimates are similar to the Victorian Treasury's inflation rate estimates. So, look, I realise you thrash around and lash out, looking for things to be critical of, but the reality is, only Government Australia providing real relief for families, every family, in terms of cost of living pressures. The targeted energy assistance payment for households with a healthcare card, giving another $318, totalling $718 in total. The $400 for every family around Western Australia, and the overall basket of household goods and services goes down by 3.8% next financial year.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary.
Treasurer, you didn't answer my question. How can you justify providing less financial relief to the community at a time of surging inflation than you did when offering an election sweetener in 2020?
So, just to be clear, you don't give a preamble like, Premier, you didn't answer my question. You just directly ask the question. Otherwise, I'm going to rule your supplementaries out in future. Premier?
Madam Speaker, I did answer your question. When we provided the relief in October of 2020, we used the Bell payment. So we received a windfall of maybe $660 million or thereabouts. Yeah, I will. I'll tell everyone here. He's got that unfortunate affliction. So we received the $660 million or thereabouts as part of the Bell windfall, which we gave straight back to households, which you condemned. You condemned at the time. And that was at a a time when there was greater fear about the economy and about COVID, and there wasn't a vaccine. The vaccine hadn't been invented. You might recall, and it's hard to place ourselves there now, but you might recall it was a very, very frightening and dim period in Australia, and people were very worried about what might occur. So we provided confidence into the economy at that point in time, and we had the windfall that we had the capacity to do it with. So that's what we did then. Now, of course, we do have the highest vaccination rates probably in the world in Western Australia because of actions this government took against some objection, I might add, by many Liberals and Nationals. And we've still provided huge cost of living relief to families out there across the state, and we're paying down debt at the same time. It's actually our financial and economic record is one of the best in the world. One of the best in the world. You compare us to other governments around Australia, and Deloitte said it the other day, Standard & Poor's have said it, one of the best financial and economic performances in the world. And at the same time, we're not loading up the debt for future generations like you did when you were in government.